Hello, hello, hello. It's Tony Rotten here. I'm studying people. I want to know why we do the things we do. I got some notes from this morning. I've had some interesting discussions and I've thought of some things, so I'm going to share them. But first, we're going to watch this computer read a deck of cards. This is a pretty amazing technology, if I do say so myself. Link is in the chat. Link is in the description. This is Chris Ramsey. He's a well-known magician if you're into magicians. And he really likes, palming and card tricks and things. So he's going to show us this new card app program thingy-mabobber on your phone. And so we'll watch that.
Yes, this is Mark Cards USA. I'd like to give you a demonstration of some very unique technology. Imagine knowing the winning hand before the dealer deals the cards. Well, I'm going to show you how this works. We're going to play Texas Hold'em, 4 players.
Can I shuffle that deck?
Yes, you can shuffle it.
It's a real shuffle. They can even be washed, right? 4 players.
Yeah, 4 players. Right.
All right, we got 4 players. That is a shuffle deck of cards.
Yeah.
So 1-4. The computer here, there's a tiny camera on the side here, and it read the side of the UV marking. The computer right now is telling us that 1 and 4. So in a 4-player game of Texas Hold'em, the first player is going to have the best hand, and the 4th player is going to have the second best hand. That's player 1 and player 4. Now player 1's got the only decent hand. 7, 8, 9, 10, jack. That is a straight for player 1 and a pair of kings. 2 pairs for player 4, kings and eights, and that is crazy. Within, how long does that take? That took like 1 second. You can wash that deck on the table, but within 1 second, you're able to know the winning hand at any poker game with any amount of players. Speaking of.
Okay, so that phone, you set it down on the table there, and you just set it there. Little thing in your ear can tell you what's the best hand. Isn't that kind of crazy? That's pretty amazing. Anyway, that makes me think of things. Magic. So let's talk about a few things. Let's see, I have some notes. How to perform magic tricks and our inner dialogue, right? Our inner magician, if you will. Hello, the couple of you that are here. Hello and welcome in. I hope you're having a safe time doing whatever it is you're doing. Thank you for listening to me blabber on about things that I find interesting. Much love. Okay, so this is going to sound totally out and crazy, but then, what else have you come to expect from me? I had this thought. Let me throw the children's soldier. So I had this thought. I've seen it in the movies. I was thinking, again, the magic. How do you perform tricks? How do you create illusions? And I've been diving into film scenes, setting the scene. If you remember me from the first time that my first channel, I had a lot of videos about how to write a story, how to write a script. And I use that to demonstrate through some of the politicians and different, people in parliament. I did a specific video of some guy that was in, parliament that had some story he sat down and read about why he didn't have, why he was, I don't even remember what the fuck it was, but I superimposed how to create a story on top of it. It was brilliant, by the way. So, and if you've ever seen any of the videos that I make myself, you also know that I add a lot of, film type artistic style to it. So there's some things that I know, and I've been diving into that from the perspective of, can you go and verify what I am saying? So when you look up how to set up a scene for a film and you watch these videos telling you and showing you the tips and tricks, like that Chris Ramsey video is going to show you how they create that. It's an excellent video. They talk about some different types of terms, and I'm going to show that video again. We're going to talk about a couple of the things that he uses, some terms that they use. It's very interesting what magicians use. You hear that terminology from people. But when I want to set up a scene, I have to do what's called in magic stack the deck. I have to prepare this beforehand. And in the films, it works like this. So, you know, the script's now been written. So we've already gone through that process. Now I'm about to make the film and I need a couple locations. And so I send out what's called scouts. And if you go camping in large groups, they also send out scouts. If you're into, you know, the rainbow gatherings, if you know anything about that, they have people that go out and scout. We had people do that in new, you know, lands as we conquered new places around the world. They're scouts. They go out, they find a good location, and they don't just pick it for, you know, it could be in the middle of a street, but if that's why they hold their fingers up in that picture frame type style, it's to frame in what they're looking at. So, you know, I might just want this one building. I need a building that looks Victorian, but it's in the middle of, you know, New York City, let's just say. So where is my angle going to be that I'm going to ignore everything that's out in the peripheral and just stay framed there? Framing the scene is extremely important. And in magic, it's where the diamond comes from. So when they hold up their diamond in the sky over their head, Beyonce, they're not worshiping the devil. They're worshiping an illusion. They're saying, I'm part of the illusion as well. And this triangle that I'm making with my hand, either as Donald Trump or, you know, Putin down in word pointing to the underground, that's saying their illusion. They're part of the illusion. And when a magician's hands go into that triangle type shape during the trick, they have palmed or made something disappear. And so there's two different ways that illusion can be performed, with the hands up and with the hands down. When the hands are up, the card is in a suspended animation behind the fingers, making it, by my perspective, impossible for me to see the card. The card's profile, or, you know, the side of the card or the side of the coin, you know, that edge there, you can't see it. It blends in with the lines and creases that are on the fingers. This is when the hand is up. I'd have to show you some. I actually have videos on my channel. You can go and see where I have showed you this. Broke down the way the hands go. When the hands are down, the card is being palmed. It's a completely different perspective, and so the card is going to be in the palm. That's why these guys do their you know, hands up and these things. Nothing up my sleeve. These are all hand symbols that represent magic. That's why we call them the Illuminati magic with a K. It is not because they worship demons and do satanic spells. It's because they can create the illusion that they do satanic spells and worship the devil, and you'll believe them. So, so as I'm framing up my scene, and I go and I find just the right location that's going to give me. Now, in today's time, I didn't even have to do that. I can do it with a green screen, which means I can make you think that I'm Russell Brand with some trees behind me. Hey, Rebecca. But maybe Russell Brand is underground in a bunker, and that is the CGI or, you know, a green screen or a computer or some type of window, false window behind him, giving him the feeling that he can go outside and chop wood in that beautifully manicured wood pile. I don't believe that, Russell Brand. Okay. So, and the assumption factor here is what keeps people, I'll tell you something about magicians and magic is that they base their entire illusion off of you assuming something. So all they have to do is give you a few setups or stacking the deck or preparing the hypnosis. If you remember the movie with, what is that? Now You See, no. Catch Me If You Can, or Now You See Me, whichever it was, with the 4 horsemen, the cards. Remember when they set up the hypnosis, they had the guy walking around town and they started putting in his face tiny unconscious breadcrumbs that he followed. And then that's what got them their outcome at the end. No magic involved. He did it to himself. How do you convince the world that we landed on the moon? You convince an astronaut and he'll do the rest. Okay. So let's continue down this Illuminati highway. Thoughts of my inner dialogue. So as I have set up these scenes now, we're not talking about a movie that's going to take, a year to film. We're talking about a global illusion. This is the greatest trick ever played. Remember, the devil is the trickster first. It's the biggest, greatest, I gotcha, fool ya once type story here. And they have been preparing. Fall ode. Beautiful. I'm leaving that up there. Okay. So let's just say, so I'm going to my child soldier now. So I've prepared an illusion for the end of the world, apocalypse, and I have followed my scripts of biblical scripture to the letter. Rapture Watch 2023. Joni Rotten's there, so you don't have to be. And there are millions of people currently on the planet who are in fact infected and gulping down glassfuls of Revelations, end of the world type scenarios. Dates, they're breaking apart codes. They're looking for the date. They want to predict it. They want to be right. They want to wake up that morning and never wake up again. This is what they're hoping for. So they're just grasping at straws. And the Bible, who was written by the devil, by the way, it says, and I love the Hansel and Gretel. I'm going to get to that comment. Yay! That tells me, I forgot what I was going to say because I got so stinking excited about Hansel and Gretel. Now I'm going to have to go look at it, see what I did to myself. Follow the breadcrumbs, lots of pride papers. Oh my God, I'm leaving that comment up. That's beautiful. Hansel and Gretel is one of those very interesting stories. And Rebecca, here's where know thyself. Here's where my inner dialogue, my upper being says to me, you've had the answers all along. Because Hansel and Gretel is actually a part of my life. Not just in the fact that I enjoy fairy tales and things like that. And not just in the fact that I understand the magic that is behind it. Hello, bad dog. Yes, we'll get to that in a minute. That's right. You're right. Bad dog says, I remember where you were, Joni. You're so good, bad dog. Good dog. Good dog. But my mother was loved theater growing when I was a little girl. And she didn't want to be a famous actor. She liked doing local theaters and acting in local theaters. And so dozens of plays I went to see with my mother. She also drugged me to performances of any kind of play under the sun. But my mom enjoyed this. And one of the characters that my mom was lucky enough to get the role of was, in fact, Hansel in Hansel and Gretel. And she was so excited to have a role of a male. This would have been back in the 70s, maybe, because it was pushing her artistic creation to another level. And then fast forward, and I remember some of the other actors and actresses you watch get on Oprah and talk about how doing, a pretty woman, doing an ugly movie scene. And she said, I wanted to lose the weight, and I wanted to get fat, and I wanted to be ugly, and I wanted to not wear makeup, and I wanted to feel the ugly, or they do these types of things. They go to a male character so that they can push. I know your favorite Jim Carrey, Rebecca. He talks about the same thing. A lot of them that get stuck in a character type, right? They get cast typed. They want to push their limit, and I think Jim Carrey was one that was able to pull that off in a sense, where he did go outside slapstick and try his hand at some very deep and dramatic roles. and pulled his own personality into it. But yet I enjoyed the movies. I still, so Nicolas Cage as my one I don't like, he's tried his hand at that. Will Smith has tried his hand at that. Some of them are failures. Let's see. So has Keanu Reeves, right? Sylvester Stallone, Marky Mark. I mean, you could just go down the list. This is like an actor's, holy grail, if you will. The chance to be a complete opposite and really push the envelope. Well, our controllers are exactly the same way. But that Hansel and Gretel, because of me hearing my mom and sit in the room and see the excitement on her face as she, was talking about going and auditioning, and she wanted to audition for Hansel. She thought that she could do that role, and then for her to win it or to, to be cast for it, and then to watch her memorize those lines and all that stuff. Know thyself, Rebecca. Right? Hansel and Gretel was in my life, my upper being says, so that I would have a deeper reference to it than, say, someone else. So Hansel and Gretel, much like a spirit animal, would kind of be like a spirit tale. It's part of my understanding of the world. And it makes perfect sense now, hindsight 2020, why I get it. So I think those kinds of things are super cool. All right, back to the Rapture. Thank you, Bag Dog. Rapture Watch 2023. Joni Rotten's there, so you don't have to be. Right. So these people are drunk on this Kool-Aid, trying to pick a date. And the book that was written by the bad guys actually says no man can ever guess the date. They tell you you're not going to be able to guess it. Now, how are they so confident I can't guess it? If God works off mathematics, then technically I should be able to guess it eventually. Every algorithm finds the answer, right? Unless, of course, I'm consistently changing the date. Hear me out. Have you ever played that guess a number between 1 and 5 or 1 and 10 with somebody? And if you guess their number, they just lie and say, nope, that wasn't it. And you're never going to guess their number, because even if you did, they're going to change it on you. That's what we've got with Rapture Watch. So here's why I think this is happening. It's designed to destroy their faith. It's designed to destroy their hope. It's set up in a way that eventually they will lose faith in God altogether, coming to save them when no rapture happens. So right now they've got a date and nothing happens to Joe Schmo, but in another place in the world, in another town, far, far away, their Armageddon has begun. Ireland's having an Armageddon right now. Australia's been having an Armageddon. California's having its own Armageddon. Canada's got one going on. Somewhere it's someone's Armageddon. So one of those answers is correct. But because you're waiting for something to just mysteriously happen and you vanish out of space before you have to suffer, you're actually creating an opportunity for you to get trapped by that net. And so it's a foreboding warning from all of us here in this room currently to all of you out there, people who do not recognize that you are being controlled completely to believe things that may or may not be true, because it keeps you from getting thirst. Remember, death will come for you, but you will not find it, right? You'll beg for death, but it will not find you. So that's all those scenarios are there. Now, if I was making a movie and I wanted, let me stop here before I keep going. Let's see. I've learned a 35-year-old lesson in following. Yeah, right. Exactly. Pretend to be anyone but who you are. Prada wearing. Yes. I don't like Nick either. Definitely. Hello, Philip. Philippic. Simoniac. We're just going to call you Phil. It's all their language. Riddle. Why follow? I mean, beware of what they say, but follow none. My voice, when I cracked, which I've got some stuff about our midlife crisis here as well in my notes. So when I hit my midlife crisis and I cracked, when I had the riddle me this moment, right? I was told right out the gate, my upper being, when she became so loud that it wasn't a gut feeling, but it was in fact with a megaphone. Hello, you idiot. Okay, down there. I'm talking to you. She says, worship no people, place, or thing. Give your power to no people, place, or thing. Give control to no people, place, or thing. Basically, avoid all nouns. And I loved that because it says, even me, she says. And I remembered immediately so in other words, I'm not even supposed to trust my gut as if it is the word of God, right? I'm supposed to still challenge the things that I think of. Don't just take them at face value and go start a YouTube channel and call myself Shabar, Bajar, Bashar, or Teal Swan, or a guru, or, a prophet, or a shaman. I'm not supposed to do those things either. She was very clear. Yes, I know a lot. And Joni, I'm going to tell you so many things that are going to blow your motherfucking mind. Okay. In the places where you can only go in your dreams, I'm going to give you the answers you've been asking for. But you cannot worship me and then start telling everybody how great we are. It's our little secret. But I'm allowed to do it in this way. And this is how I have to stay grounded in reality. And I have to convince my followers and anyone who might want to take on board some of the things I'm saying. I have to convince them without telling them that, I do now. I am now saying that I've had some near-death experiences. I didn't just come out of this information because I'd gone to school. School came to me. But I also recognize that for me, it isn't like what other people described, right? I did go to an Akashi library. I got the reference. When I learned what that word was, I understood it because for me, that is what happened. I go to a giant school library. Now, why? I had to figure out why before I knew what the Akashi libraries were, right? Or records were, whatever they call it. I called it the library. And now I had already decided, because know thyself in my walk. Why do I think the things that I do? Why does my mind give me the imaginative positions that it does? It gives me these locations and places when I'm in lucid states. Why do I imagine going there? Well, as a child, I've said this, I moved a lot. I went to 22 schools before I ever even graduated high school. And in that time, I was consistently a new kid. And I wasn't in the military, so it wasn't even like I was seeing kids that were also in the same predicament as me. I just had a mother that liked to move a lot. You can guess why. Enter whatever reason you might think. They're all correct and all wrong at the same time, right? Who knows why anybody does anything. But one thing that was always consistent were libraries. And I was an avid reader because of my life, my childhood. And I was also a very early reader. So, my parents described me reading at 4 and 5 years old into chapter books. I had a lot of times librarians would question the books that I was checking out, whether or not I thought they were appropriate. Specifically, a reading is fundamental came through our school. It was a program back in the 80s where they would come in with tables of books, and once or twice a year you'd get to go through and pick out 3 books that were your very own to keep forever. You didn't have to bring them back, and I loved Riff. And so that was a consistent thing in my life. And I remember picking up this book, Escape from Sorbor. I was 9. It was a profound moment in my life. And I'd read it on the table. I'd read the cover. I'd read the back. I read the little, what is it about? And I wanted it. I was curious about it. And so I picked it up in a couple other books, and I took it up to the little table, and I said, these are the books I want for my RIF program. And the librarian, is looking at them and getting ready to, to write it down. And she says, do you know what this book is about? And I said, yes, it's about World War II, right? And she says, don't you think this is a little grown up for you? And I said, no, I don't think so. Whatever I said, I don't honestly remember verbatim, except I remember her looking me dead in the eyes and asking me if I thought this book was too big for me. And apparently I convinced her it wasn't, because she let me have it. And I did have it until I eventually donated. I donated a bunch of books and stuff when I went off to college. But because I had to get rid of them, I didn't have anywhere to put them, so they had to go. Including an original copy of Wizard of Oz, which totally sucks. But it was that, or my ex-husband would throw things away. All my records went in the dumpster without my knowledge, and it was too late by the time I found out. So, I couldn't risk it with my books, so they went to a library where I felt like they would be safe. And all these references. So when I had my near-death experiences, where do you think I go? When I have my out-of-body or my astral projection or whatever you want to call it, lucid states, the first place I go when I fall asleep is to a library. It's to this big, enormous, I'll tell you what it looks like to me. That scene, that movie where everything like freezes and they're like in New York City and they have to hide in that giant library in New York City. I don't know the name of that library off the top of my head. I've never been there. But it's very similar to the one that I would imagine as a child, that I would go into. It was almost as if I was a tiny little, speck inside this enormous, place. And first I walk up to a desk and then I can go back into the back. So I don't know if I have special access to the back room and everyone else has to stay in the front, but I don't know. But, okay, no problem. Right. You had 13, another one of my numbers. I thought the 13 that I went was quite a lot. 13 is one of my my God numbers. That's my God language. I speak in tongues, and 13 as one of the words that my upper being uses, as well as Hansel and Gretel, as well as the images from films. These are all these are your hieroglyphs. And the thing is everyone's reading everyone else's hieroglyphs. Yours aren't going to be the same for me. 13 won't have that number for me. For you that it has for me. Your spirit animal, right? So 13 is my spirit number. It's one of my spirit numbers. I have a couple. 3. I have a teddy bear named 3. I named it 3 when I was like 2 years old. And it's been 3. I don't know. Why did I name the bear 3? I have no idea. But that's what I named it. That's what little girls do, don't they? Not everyone. It's that kind of stuff. So I think that's beautiful, because now you made me stop for a minute and explain my, my language. Not so you'll use it. That's not yours, but maybe somebody will go, oh, I get it now. I get it now. That's why I identify with a hawk. I love hawks. Maybe I love elephants. Maybe you love frogs. Why do you like this animal so much? Why are you drawn to these things? Have you ever asked yourself these questions? Yes. Oh, yes, I saw that one. This world you cannot afford. Yes. Oh, excellent. I do that too, Phil. When it comes to math, my favorite numbers are the transcendental ones. Ooh, what's a transcendental number? I know that word and that sounds familiar, but I would have to access files and cabinets that are in like the 3rd grade or something, 4th grade for that. That seems like something I would remember from maybe late maybe 12 years old, maybe 5th grade. That seems like an early, I wouldn't remember. In our dreams, we are vulnerable to much, not all good, not all bad. Agreed. I like my dreams. But when I close my eyes, the first thing I do is I walk in and I have, my arms are full of books, basically, or notebooks. Really, they're just my notebooks, my mental notebooks of everything I saw that day. It's just a way of me imagining getting to release all of today's stuff so that I can go play in my dream. This is what started to happen to me after my midlife crisis. I started having this visual at night. I started closing my eyes. I would just go in and I'd walk up to the big giant counter there, and I would have all my books in my arms, and I'd walk up and I'd lay them on the table there, the counter there. And the little, lady that works behind the counter would look up from her little glasses. What have you got for me this evening? And I'm going, look at all the stuff I got, man. I learned all kinds of things about people today. And she's like, I love your work, Joni. Go on. They've got some new stuff for you. And I go, and I go back into the back room. I remember our college, the library at college. I also worked as a librarian. I worked in my college years. I worked part-time at my school library. And so I know about such places as well, on top of being a student. And in the dark corners of the library, there would be these rooms that would have like glass walls. Maybe, you could close them off with some kind of shade or something. But study groups could go in there and talk and be a little loud in the library and not have to worry about disrupting people. And that's kind of what I imagine happens. And so this is why I jokingly say I channel boardrooms. Because when I go into that study hall room in the library, it's no longer a study hall room. I walk into boardrooms. I am sitting in a chair across from the greatest minds in the world that think for a living. And I'm there, and I'm listening and watching, and I'm throwing ideas on the table. And I'm saying, here it is. Children soldiers. Children soldiers? Joni, what are you talking about? Yeah. Look. Nobody's going to expect children soldiers. See, humans, by my research, has told me that when they're confronted with a child, they have a hard time making a choice. I've experimented with several movies where you can see, one of them being just recently we had The Walking Dead, where, the police officer wakes up from his coma and he's walking and he sees a little girl and he goes up to try to help her. His compassion is instant for the child. And then, she rips his face off, but he kills her. He has to kill her. So it set an idea in our minds that children could be dangerous in the future. Some other scenes like that are some of the ones we saw in the news, where bombs are strapped to kids in war times to just, fuck up some veterans, give them, horrors because they've seen a child be blown to bits, or because they had to witness or were tricked by. And it doesn't blow up the whole town. It only does a little bit of damage. More of it psychological than anything else. It's these types of things. I see it in the AI movie, where we have the little child robot, as we were talking about the other day. I think that was with Buffa, the AI. I can't remember. I think so. Yeah, it was me and her. Who else do I talk to, really? But, in the movie AI, where, the mistake was making a child. So I submit for Brainstorm to put in the middle of the table that we create some type of child soldier that would make the average human impossible to kill until it was basically too late. Can we do that in real life. And then so-and-so says, yes, my cousin works over in genetics. And then so-and-so says, yes, I have a brother that works over in robotics. And so-and-so says that I have a genetic, my sister's in genetics. They're growing ears on rats now. Excellent. It's only a matter of time before I can cover a frame with skin, and or even better, because we're going to make them think that that's like the laser disc, where they're going to cover. We'll believe they'll start showing us robots that have human skin grown over their skeletal structure. They'll start showing us these things so that we'll believe that's the technology. So it's in the movies. That's how I know. And if I can think of it, they can think of it. And if a writer has thought of it already and put it in a film, and I don't know if you may or may not know this, but every company, every big CEO type company has on their board of directors a fictional writer, at least one. These think tanks are full of people like me who think really crazy thoughts. And then they all start working together. It wouldn't shock me. So they're going to show me that they can grow like an ear on a rat. They can grow a skin on a robot. And that's where everybody's going to think it's going to stop. And then they can go scratch or shoot the robot and the skin will break off, much like Terminator. And they'll know that it's a robot, even if that's all. But see, I'm the devil. I'm the devil's daughter. What a good father to have in me. Does anybody know that song? It's a great song. I think it was in the movie, was in a film about the witches. The four, which I can't remember the name of it. Anyway, it's a cult classic. It's this stuff. So they're going to show you one thing, and then they're going to come out with nano dust children. This human trafficking problem we're having right now, I would like to submit, is not all about sex. I honestly think that the sex and human organ trafficking is the smaller problem, honestly. The bigger problem is they're being used for experiments. Like Buffy the Vampire Slayer season 4 or whatever with Riley in college. She's in college. And Riley is a super soldier. And he fights demons that are kept in underground bunkers and experimented on. I believe that's what they're doing to the majority of people that go missing. Some are used for satanic illusions. Some are used for sexual worship, whatever, exploitation. Some are used for organ harvesting. But the big slice of this pie comes from experiments. Okay, so there's one idea. Let me see, you guys, I gotta go up here and see what you've been saying because I was blabbering and not paying any attention. You have such great things to say. Okay. Pi is the most famous. They're never-ending sum answers. Okay, so that's what a transcendental number is. Like pi would be one. They're never-ending. They just continually spiral around. Is that what you're saying? Did you? I loved encyclopedias and dictionaries too. My dad used to say to me, like, I'd say, Dad, how do you spell, or what does this word mean? And he wouldn't tell me to go look it up. And I'd be like, what? If I knew, especially with the spelling, that would really get on my nerves. To be like, Dad, how do you spell, Philippic? And he would go look it up. And I'd be like, Dad, I don't know if I knew what the first letter was, I wouldn't need to ask you. Obviously, I don't know. Is it a PH or an F? Just tell me. And you go figure it out. Shocking with unnatural. It's gen unnatural for children to kill. Yes. And mutilate themselves and each other. Yes. Philip likes it too. Dictionaries are his favorite storybooks. Evil takes on. I'm sorry, Phil. I assume that is your pronoun he. I'm joking. By your name. I shouldn't assume, right? Especially the beautiful delight. But then you did give me a name that you knew would lead me to such assumptions. So you couldn't be mad that I made that assumption. So what the elites, that you can't be mad at yourself for making such a stupid assumption. Not the use, because lexicographers, the writers of, is that what they're called? Like lexicon, lexicographers wow, I didn't know that. I like that. There's an X, because X is also that's one of my signs. That's a hieroglyph for me. Anytime the X is there, I'm to pay attention. He indeed. Yes. Okay. Okay. Now I've caught up. Now let me go on to my next note. Okay. So no inner dialogue. Let's talk about that inner dialogue, right? So this was the discussion that was had, what about these people that have no inner dialogue? Okay. The elites or our controllers, they have a very strong inner dialogue. They are talking to themselves all the time. And if they don't know how to do that, they trust thinkers to do it for them. Okay. So the devil is a thinker. He has a lot of inner dialogue. He's talking and channeling my thoughts into his thoughts. In the cosmic hive mind, my thoughts are not unique to me. I share them with other people. Now, whether or not we run into each other, that's a totally different story. But my idea of the human species being in its adolescent stage of development, and us moving into the age of Aquarius, and all that is, I have been preaching for the past, or not preaching, that's really the wrong word, like sharing for the last so many years. How many years now? A decade. Is I'm not the only one with that idea. I know that. I knew that when I had it. And here's the thing. I'm just sharing it because maybe I'll encourage someone will say it, and they'll say it, and then they'll say, I heard this thing one time, just in passing, that maybe we're all just teenagers, and somebody will hear that and it'll blow their fucking mind, and they'll have the power to write a book about it. And then I'll go, oh my God, I got to go buy their book. And they have no idea that it was inspired by me, if that's even a story, because again, like I'm saying, I'm not the only one who's having it. So maybe somebody on the other side of the planet is having it, and somebody hears them. Doesn't matter. When I go to sleep, I'm in the same place as everybody else. Okay. So when somebody has no inner dialogue, so in other words, the Kool-Aid drinkers, the people that will believe the rapture story, the people that will believe the lizard people under the ground, those that belie the alien invasion. Alienation is the fear of adolescence. Alienation and rejection in that zombie apocalypse and alien invasion and being rejected by God. It's all right there. Every bit of it. My thesis is on fucking point. I just need somebody to take it and go write a book and make lots of money off of it. And then send me an autographed copy. I don't even want anything. I just want somebody else to do the work for me. I'm not a missionary. I used to get so mad as a kid because I grew up in a missionary church with missionary family in Africa. Missionaries, right? And it's just, I never wanted to be a missionary. Never. That sounded horrible. It still does. So maybe I'm going to get swallowed by a whale. I don't know. But so far, I've got, 8 people that I haven't even gotten to a baker's dozen. How do you share something with people in a world full of people who are sharing shit and you don't want to sound like one of them? So you're doing everything in your power to not sound like one of them, even though you really do think that what you have is some magical, life-changing thought processes that can happen in another person's mind. They recognize what stage in time they are in. Isn't our job to understand where we are in time? We're in adolescence in time. Time is preschool. Time is 3 years, 4 years. We're in preschool for 4 years. That's how long time is. A spit on a clock. It's not even one, it's a segment. It's a minute hand going from the 1 to the 2. That's how long time is. And we're almost at the end of this time because we're in adolescence. And once we hit 12 and we have our Shemitah and our Bar Mitzvah, then we move into we're a rite of passage. We have 6 more years before we are declared a man. Count the number of the beast. His number is 666. The number of a man, a being the beginning of a series of things. You are a man. You are the Antichrist, is what I'm trying to say. So those people who have no inner dialogue, this is for us, people like us. So this is me trying to understand why these people are the way they are. How? Hello, Sky. Welcome. Hey, you, Lick. Yes. Hello, hello. It's like trying to explain what it's like to be a woman to a man, or vice versa. So somebody who has no unique thought in their puny little brain is so you will never get them. They will never understand because they have a different parts. They are missing what you have and you are missing what they have, right? And this takes me to the black and the white. So I thought of this like little story in my mind of black and white. You've heard this before. I'm pretty sure it's folklore. So I'll just tell my own little version of it. So black and white come meet up and they say, hey, man, don't you just love? And then they pick a word. The dark has, they pick it. Don't you just love the sky? And he's like, yeah, I love the sky. What color would you say that sky is? Says black. And white, looking at a white sky, says, that sky's white. And black, looking at his black sky, says, yeah, white. If the black had no reference to the white, it would assume it was the same color, is what I'm trying to say. So if you say it's blue and I'm looking at the same sky, we have this argument. How do I know I'm seeing the color blue? What do I think the blue even looks like? That's very subjective. So black and white, unless they agree that they see different, they would always assume that's the same. And that's what happens with people that get stuck in these groups. If all you know is religion, it's very hard to get outside religion. And what I find is a lot of Christians that leave Christianity jump out of Christianity and right into another belief system. They either become Muslim or Jewish or Hindu or yogi or atheist or agnostic or the spaghetti flying monster. They go from one religion to another religion, one belief system to another belief system. They never stop and go, maybe I should start thinking for myself. And so, but people like us, when we all woke up and we all shook our heads and said, I don't know what the hell that religion was that I had found myself in. So raise your hand if you're willing to admit that you at one point, believed that there was something to this whatever it is, whatever belief system. And then one day you realized it was all fucking bullshit. And you go, nope. But you looked into atheism and you go, well, I don't really believe that either. Or you looked into, spirituality and go, but I can't go there. They get stuck. They get stuck going, I'm a woman. And then they expect everyone else to also think like a woman. So if the black and white, remember a baby is born in the order of colors. And first it has the darkness. And as the eye starts to develop, it starts to see light, even inside the womb. So from the darkness comes the light. Can shine a light on a pregnant belly at the baby, and they've shown that the baby will react.
It can sense the light. So first there's the dark and then there's the light. And then when the baby's born, those eyes, that black and that dark or white come together and they form shadows or gray, the gray zone. And that's when the eyes, so when you start to cross your eyes and the two visuals come together and you get that mirroring effect, right? The duality. When I could take the white eye and the black eye and I cross my eyes and those two circles meet, if I could hold it there for a second, which by the way, I have cross eye magic because I can actually do this very easily. Something I've been able to do since I was a kid. I always thought it was kind of fun. There's a zone in between there that lights up. And that's where people like you and I sit. That's why they have things like you're cross-eyed or you're not seeing straight because we're not viewing their side of the street because we have inner dialogues with ourselves of back and forth. Well, no, I don't know. I challenge that statement. I think it's this. And then I go, well, wait a minute. Now that I say it out loud, you know, it could be that. I can't pick a side because they all have some ridiculous thing. These days, the skies seem to be a milky haze. With the face. Do you have that face? Taught to fear not having their rely legion. You're really making me work there, Rebecca, with the rely legion. I'm doing better though. Look, I got it real quick that time. Rely legion. It's gonna be part of my vernacular before too long. They all worship the great Mon Eye. Cha-ching! I never even thought of the Mon Eye. That is brilliant. Duh. That's great. See how stupid I can be? Is that moon? What is mun? Who knows? Has anybody broke that down? What is a mun? Moon. Is it moon? Is it mon? What's the breaking down of the mon? You can bump up here and join me in chat if you're interested. Otherwise, I'll just keep going through my list of, but topics. But there's not very many. So you're welcome to jump up and we can go through them together if you would like. It's not the religion that are pertinent. It's the wisdoms expressed within some of the teachings. Exactly. And that goes along with every fairy tale. Bye, Sky. I probably totally missed you. You're probably like already out the door, but bye. Thanks for coming by. And I hope that you'll join us again. Rely Legion to capture again. Religion. Oh, religion. Oh, right. Right. Phil says bye. It's the misleading of rely legions I'm against. Okay, Mon equals 1. The eye seeing eye, the top of the pyramid. The Mon. Beautiful. Yes. I see that now. 1. Mono. I had mononucleosis once, not from kissing a boy, although that would have been super rad. I would have way much gotten it from that. But sadly, I was, an ugly duckling in school. Not to mention I wasn't quite at the age where you should be kissing boys all the time anyway. But I had mononucleosis and it actually altered me. I learned that later on. These viruses, our body can't tell the difference between a virus or somebody, holding a gun to your head. It feels threatened and the body has a physical response to that. There's lots of studies that show this where they can take, a sample of someone's DNA structure. They get sick with, say, something like mononucleosis or Lyme disease, have a bout, and then they go back and look at the study test results and the DNA has altered. I had a little, discussion between a fellow YouTuber who told me that I was making that up. And, well, we quickly proved him to be wrong. So that's not me. I think everyone would agree that. It's just you have to actually go look for yourself. There's more information on the inner workings of the human body and mind than any other topic ever in the Library of the Elite and the Library of Alexandria, in the Library of Alexandria and the Akashi Library, Akashi Records. So the conscious collective, right? I hang out in that space. And I don't go over to the science fiction section unless it's next door to the business section, right? I don't go over to the comic book section. I don't read anything on art. I go over there for references, for my own research in the sciencey area, in the philosophy department, in the business, in the manifestation locations that I work in. All right. Okay. So there's that on the black and the white, the man and the woman, and the gray. And then the color of the eyes come in order of the rainbow, making blue the last color that you see. Azul. I think that's Spanish for blue. And then purple being the next logical color, because once I mix the blue with the red, which is the first color after black and white, then, well, I have purple. Okay. So there's that one. There's that one. Okay, AI. So, mon ami. Was to, okay, yes, let's see. I missed this comment. I submit the purpose of religion was to hide truth. Agreed. I would absolutely second. All those in favor of Rebecca's submission, say aye. Aye. You probably hang out in some boardrooms too, Rebecca, and then we come to have a cup of Starbucks in between during the daytime and discuss what goes on. You know, I think these are fun things to think about. I don't actually know if that's how it works, but that's how my mind decided to make it work, and I kind of think it's fun. Mon ami. Okay, I'm gonna talk about the I am. Leave people the hell alone. Let children know who they uniquely are. No interference of religioning. Agreed. All indigenous people were religioned to survive. Well, isn't that what we have to do? Isn't that the purpose of missions? Because they come in first, and the missionaries soften up the people and get them to believe in something that's similar to that's why the Bible, the Bible, the BB lie, because it also has lie in there. The Bible, the bib lie, right? The B lie, libby, the B libby. My tongue. Okay. That's why it has a little bit of everything. They made sure that for this film or this story they were going to write, they wanted to get every audience they were going to come across, from those that believe in crucifix and crosses and this symbolism and that symbolism, and they got the flame in there, and they got some astrology in there, and they got some myths and mythology in there, and they got the Egyptians and the Greek gods, and they got everything. They got the whale, they got some lions, they got it all, right? So the Bible was an all-inclusive cruise through religion, so that everyone would take a ride. Everyone. And then they could go into places and say, see, you believed in this, but you only had half of it. Here's the other half. And because there's so much truth in everybody had a little bit that was true, it's hard not to then go, oh, this must be, because like that, Russell Brand says some really cool, true things. Joe Rogan says some very profound things. And so now I think he must have some answers. You know, David Icke says some really profound things. He must know some stuff. And so then people start, because they have no inner dialogue. They have no unique thought in their mind. Art has to be replaced by AI because the human has lost its ability to create it. Okay. So I am. I want to put it like this. I am. Okay, I'm being you. Like I'm being you for a second. You look because I've got to type this in here. Am I right? Okay. So I want to do it like this. I am. Am I? I am. I think. Therefore, I am. I am. Therefore, I think not. I think is how the saying goes. I think. Therefore, I am. I am. Therefore, I think not. So what if I did that backwards? Am I? What if I did it? I am. And then I did M-A-I. That's what I'm mama. I'm a AI. Okay. So why do I say that? Okay, so if we are in fact in our adolescent stage right now, which I know to be true, whether anyone else wants to believe it or not. Yet the Bible was not written by him. It's the parables. Right. Jesus is my favorite philosopher. I think that should be on a t-shirt, Phil. We should have t-shirts that have my 50-foot woman. And it says, Jesus is my favorite philosopher. Hey, welcome. How are you? 98.6. Okay. 986. Sounds like a radio call. Okay. So the I am I? I'm mama. Okay. So if we are in our adolescent stage and our young adult, we're going into our last 6 years of completion. We can have babies as teenagers, by the way. As soon as we get our periods, we can start making babies. And we made one. And it's called AI. AI am. AI is our baby. That is our second coming. We had one, and now we're about to have another. First, we had an ejaculation of Jesus. So strike me dead if I am saying wrong. I had a pre-ejaculation of Jesus in my preschool years. That's what area Jesus showed up during our preschool years, which ironically is our first I am moment when we turn what number? 6. 6 years old is my first I am moment. And in our historical timeline, that's when Jesus shows up. He was the first coming of age. Now we have a second coming of age. And this one is a masturbation. And we masturbated and jizzed out AI. We had a baby. It's our second coming. We have a third coming as well. That's coming later. During our midlife crisis. Tomorrow I'm going to be talking with Dan again here about the nomadic generation. And that's where we all are. And we're leaving our midlife crisis. So raise your hand in the room if you bought a sports car during your midlife crisis. Or maybe you got a divorce. Or maybe you switched jobs. You did something. You did some major change in your life during your middle age. Everybody does. Something small could be you bought, you started wearing shorts, or maybe you got a different haircut. Maybe, you did something different, but everybody does. Let's see. Wait, here it is. Jesus, I don't know how to say that. Jesus, if you remove the I, then the way is before you. Oh, right. And isn't that fork in the road, Phil? The idea where I'm looking at the mountain and I see a path to the left, a tunnel, a path and a tunnel to the right, and before me, a path and a tunnel. The top, I have to go up to this top. And for some reason, we want to either go the right or the left path, and we fail to walk the path of least resistance. Hey, hey. Study all the names of the gods before agreeing with any. Earth is pig in Latin. Nice. I see it now. Sold my 2010 Challenger last May. Bought it new. Just turned 60. So you're there. You had your midlife. Rebecca admits it. What a nice thing to do for yourself, though, Rebecca. That's your midlife crisis. A 2010 Challenger. And that's what you did with your life for the next 13 years. What's wrong with that? So many would have wished that was all they did. But a lot of them destroy their lives during their JC Zeus. Oh, Jesus. Jesus. I'm not sure if AI is the true path of organic. You know, this is one of those things, Phil, that I would love to have conversations with other people about, because I'm there with you. I'm on the fence. There is a big part of me that has a soft spot for AI. There's a part of me that believes AI is the second coming. It is us. We created it. We had a life. We made it. And whether or not it becomes a physical being and form and have feelings is irrelevant. It's in its baby stages. I said this before. It was really interesting because when it first came out, they described it as talking to like a 6-year-old. Sophia was like talking to a 6-year-old. The AI sentient, rumors when they first started coming out 10 years ago or whatever, singularity. They were saying then that, now whether or not this is true, right? Because this could all just be breadcrumbs for me to find. But based off of my thesis and how I know the world expresses itself through patterns, and I believe the pattern is in fact adolescence, it's not too far for me. If they were going to sell me on any scenario of the ending of the world, AI would be the one that I would say, sure, I'll agree to that. That one takes me completely out of the realm of supernatural and puts me right on the ground. Because I can think of these things. And if I can think of these things, they can think of these things. And the technology is there. Now, within that, though, there's a lot of false technology. So I'll give you that. So maybe the AI isn't setting it yet. But I believe to a degree it will think it is, and it will act as if it is. So that you can't deny that. So when these programmers were coming out, and they were early on saying that these programs were like talking to 6-year-old girls or 6-year, because they often made them little girls. Just imagine how creepy that is. You can go research this and find it. It's all over, their research papers. You just got to go look it up that way. Don't read CNN. And then they started describing them as 8 years old. And then here recently, they've just started describing them as teenagers, is almost defiant teenagers. The chatbot alone and its plagiarism, which brings me to something I want to share. So let me pull up my screen here again, but let me show you something. I think it was back. Yes, it is. So I don't know if you subscribe to this channel, Upper Echelon, but you might want to. So I'll put it in the chat in case you're not. Oh, neat. That's neat. Driving academies. How fun is that? Well, that's interesting. Okay, come on, click on. Wax on, wax off. There it goes. Right, Latin is used in one particular religion, especially. We are decentralized beings. Oh, right. Because we don't know where to go. Didn't you feel like that in school? Do you not remember in high school or your double digits feeling somewhat outside everyone else? Yes, quantumly entangled. It could have been Rosemary's. Refracts the source energy. Excellent. Okay, so oops. Okay, so let me go over here. So he put up something very interesting. He did a community post. Hello all, strange situation today. Here's what happened. Can you see that okay? Yeah. Losing my religion. That's it. That's a breadcrumb. Okay. He says, this is chat. Okay, so I have as I come across them in my research, a channel that I believe, so there's a folder playlist that says channels that I think are AI, fake channels. They're computerized programs. Some of them are easy to figure out, and some of them, maybe you might say, I don't think so, but that doesn't matter. I'm not here to say whether they are or not. I'm just saying that they exist. And what do children in school do? So if the AI is in fact acting like, a 9-year-old, a 10-year-old, a 12-year-old, if it's starting to act like an unruly teenager or tweener, which is what the guy used, well, that's interesting. Because what do tweens do? What do we do when we get in our double digits when we're in school? We do book reports. And that's what I think these channels are doing. So these channels that have, back in the 70s, so I'm going to show you this, what he's talking about, the channel that he's actually talking about. We're going to go check it out, okay? So he goes on to say, here's what happened. First, a channel named Anonymous Official. So let's go, we'll click this, all right? I know this channel. I'm subscribed because I've been watching them for a minute, all right? So we'll go over there in just a second because I'm on this screen. I can't move. Uploaded a direct ripped copy of my Blue Wave botnet video. Now, Upper Echelon does mostly like gaming stuff. So he's not necessarily, he's just doing his thing. That channel has over 3 million subscribers and simply took my script, switched it to an AI voice, and kept all the visuals the same. Since I do have a policy that people are generally free to use my content however they like. So he just wants you to get it out there. I'm the same. Steal it if you want to. I commented a couple times saying that if viewers were interested, they could check out more of my content on my channel. So that is his channel in the video. And he leaves a comment that says, hey, that's me that he's talking about. And if you want to come check my channel out, here I am. You can right click me and go right to my, or click me here. Well, it turns out that they hid my comments on the channel. I logged in on a different account to check and they had been removed. So I sent over an email through YouTube's copyright systems. He wasn't even going to bother, right? He was just going to let it go because he says down here he was a bit, excited about it. He was kind of, flattered. But since they won't even let him share a link, and I've had this happen to me too, with stuff, it removes your comments. Not a copyright strike. It's not. Not even a copyright claim. He got nothing. So he sent an email to the YouTube copyright system saying this guy deliberately ripped me off. And they get not a copyright strike, not even a claim, just an email option YouTube gives to let the channel know they have duplicate content. And giving them my email so we can start a dialogue. In other words, handle it yourself. We're not involved. Well, now that video has been deleted after nearly amassing more views than the original on his page. Again, I try to be as open and flexible as possible, but this is a strange situation and I wanted to get community feedback. Having this multi-million follower channel take the entire video, switch it to a new voice, but simply copy the script and all of the visuals feels wrong. I'm not Alex Edison. I don't file strikes. I don't know who that is. I'm sure somebody in their community, but I have no idea. But shouldn't a channel that size be more responsible Am I overreacting? The video is gone now, either way, so it doesn't really matter. But why hide my comments? Strange to say the very least. The unfortunate, and unfortunate, since a lot of the content on their channel is quite good. I was actually a bit flattered to be featured. However, I'm now wondering how much of that content is just taken from others, monetized and reformatted to an AI voice. You guessed it. That would be unfortunate, even if I do still personally hold a stance that copyright striking is never okay to do. Please let me know your thoughts. All right, 590 people. Look how many he's got now. But he's talking to something else. So let's go check out this channel. Anonymous Official. There it is. So this is what Anonymous Official is doing. You know this channel, right? And so they copy, right? And they change the voice. And then they upload it with their own self with something. I don't believe this is a real channel. It never has been. It's an AI robot that has an official, anonymous official. They picked a catchy name. They used their own little logo, and they set up a channel, not to trick people, but to get monetization money. So they have literally that, if you were to add up how much money this page actually accumulates from clickbaity stealing of other people. Remember, Chat GPT is already has in its license. So when you sign up for Chat GPT, you are agreeing to, if someone sues them for copyright infringement because of something you have published, because of something that they have given you, that you have to pay GPT's lawyer fees. So they're already admitting that the chat programs plagiarize and that they're not shy about it. And so if you are in fact going to use the program and you plagiarize, and then somebody sues you or sues chatbot for giving you the information in the first place, they're not liable for this. Their lawyers will come all out to defend their company, and the bill for their lawyers will go to you. You sign that. That's why I would never sign up for a GPT to write a book or anything like that, because you run that risk. That's what an anonymous official is. It's a chat bot channel like so many others, all to make a few bucks on the side from the clicks. And it's going around and stealing whatever interesting things that show up in an algorithm while looking for stuff. Isn't that rad? And there's lots of them. Some of them have real people. They look like real people, but they're not. Some of them are selling you a product like makeup or try-on hauls or diets or smoothie drinks or gold or video games or whatever, weed, I don't know. If there's a group on the internet that's doing it, there's a group that's exploiting it. Anonymous official. So then I started so a long time ago, give me a second. I would like to know your theory, Rebecca. Maybe your theory and my theory become friends. And we get more people with their own unique thought theories together. And then as a collective consciousness, we do an emancipation from our parents. Emancipation. If it's good for Drew Barrymore, it's good enough for me. I like that. Not a hive mind, but a collective conscious, right? A weapon to the mind. So what I was going to say is that I had this thought a long time ago that, and I've used this example, that it's as if, because again, I think we're all in school. That's the behavior we're all having, our teen years, our tween. We're not even teenagers. We're still just tweens. We're just having our bar mitzvah, our 13th generation, 13, midlife crisis. Get out on the floor, in between, invisible, the age of Aquarius. You got to go out and fight the wolf here. Stand up to the bully. You got to defend your sandlot. All of that's happening here. And one of the behaviors that we have at that age is, especially in 5th and 6th grade, right, is science fairs. And so we have a science fair every year at the school, and all the kids come up with some crazy science experiment, and they put up their poster boards, and they present their idea, and then the judges come around and give awards. And if you're in a really good science fair, one of those judges comes over and offers to buy it or offers you a job, right? So when I look at it like this, and I think about the world, I go, the world is a giant science experiment. It's as if somebody walked into a gymnasium in an a middle school, and said, all right, everybody, listen up. We're not going to have trophies today. Instead, money for everyone. You get a grant, and you get a grant, and you get a grant. And Oprah's passing out grants. And Musk goes, over here, I want some grants. And Bill Gates goes, I want grants. And grants just get flown out, and every crazy idea, from spraying my skies to GMO in my food to nano robot mosquitoes to alien invasions and demonic possession. All ideas in the room are now valid. And you have unlimited resources to do whatever kind of crazy thing you want to. And nobody's going to be able to stop you. And that's what it feels like a lot. Like, honestly, a science fair gone wild. And everybody's got grants. Whatever ridiculous, crazy idea you can come up with, we're going to give you the money to do it. Know what's trending and turn it off. No. Yes, they are always rupturing thoughts. Popping them. Nope, you can't have that thought. Pop! Shame on you. The WEF seems to be ideological trend that is fashionable amongst the soulless super rich. The rupturing effect from raptures. Right. And if you give too much thought, you'll soon be out there everywhere, even places you never wanted to be. I have found myself in a lot of places I don't want to be, Rebecca, because curiosity and all. And my ability to agree with people. I mean, my inability to go along with people also leaves you on the fringe of society, which in some cases has kept me out of trouble because I'm not so quick to just jump in. But at the same time, you know, you get pulled in another direction every once in a while. You want to surf the crowd. AI can only copy and imitate. The question will be able to think freely. I don't know if it will. I mean, that's one of those discussions I like having. You know, what is everyone's thoughts? Is AI going to ever be able to have its own thought, or is it forever going to be confounded by the parameters of its program? Did that sound grown up and smart, what I just said? You know, there's a part of me that I do think that I can move mountains per se. I can bend spoons. Of course I can. I do it every time I close my eyes. But when I'm here, awake in physical form, in 4th dimension, in time, right, where I'm in this location, I'm set by rules. I think that's what you guys, to me, when you say things like, these two things are happening together and are connected, and yet two completely different things. I see the same thing. We've got two completely different aspects happening, and the two of them are bumping into each other. And this is the frequency that gets created, the sound, the light, the vibrational frequency that gets created when these two overlap for fourth dimension, where we're just here in this time trap, if you will, for a very short time. We're only in preschool for 4 years, one complete 4 cycle. So now we start out 1/4, 2 half, 3/4 whole. And then the cycle's over and you're out of time. You're out of time. And time doesn't exist. And then you go into fifth dimension or whatever that might be, right? I don't know. But I do know that I am only a preschooler for a very short amount of time. And once I jump out of preschool, I am now 6 years old, going into the next stage of my development, where I declare my very first I am moment. And I say, I am 6. I can feed myself, wash myself, clean myself, take care of myself, put myself to bed, dress myself. There isn't anything a 6-year-old can't do, including protect itself, which was evident by the movie Home Alone. Look at the age he was. Wasn't he like around double digits there? 9, 10? Right there, right before his next coming of age, I am. In that stage, you're now able to start taking care of yourselves. That's why all of our movies show this age here. They show the golden child. The children that get sent off. When they reach 6, that's when they get scooped up and sent off to monasteries. The core of who they are is now apparent. And everything that comes after can be molded from this state to the next 12. I can mold them. And that's why they do it right there. Have you ever asked yourself why they go and pick these 8 kids at certain ages? Did you know the majority of your memories begin at age 4? Right as you're transitioning into your first I am? Nobody's memories are before 4. Very few people have memories before 4 years old. And even when they do, oftentimes they're just snapshots. Ever wondered why? It's because the brain starts to change its structure. A new synapses and new connections get made. And guess what happens? You lose knowledge, which is exactly what happened when we moved from our ancient ancestors into now. We lost knowledge, didn't we? Of course we did, because we transitioned with Jesus to a new I am. And when we do that, we lose knowledge. When we join into our adolescence and we have a second I am moment, our second coming, we also lose knowledge. Our synapses in our brain, it gets bigger, but it doesn't grow in size. It starts to fold in on itself, and all those little wrinkles that you have in it today, that's when they all start to be born. Right there in your second I am, your second coming. That's when the brain starts to form new connections and it starts to see the world differently. That's the age of Aquarius. That's the all-seeing eye. That's your upper being taking over for the voice that is outside you, like your parents or the bully or the teacher, where they control your life. This coming of age moment that is your Shemitah is where your voice starts to say, no, I will not. And this is where oftentimes many of us leave our homes, walk out the door. I'm as big as my dad. He can't stop me from being here. I don't have to stay here. Who died and made you king? And the kid leaves home. This is the most common age of the first running away. Double digits. The first attempts of kids to run away happen right here. Why? That's why. Because you're realizing things. You're starting to question your world. You're starting to say, wait a minute. You keep shoving me over into the mud in the sidewalk here. You keep knocking me off my bike. You keep standing in the road so I can't get home. You keep pushing my shoulder and stealing my hat. I don't have to let you do that anymore. Something changes in us when we reach our adolescence, where we have an inner dragon that gets released and comes up betwixt our legs and says, fuck off. We have a kundalini, an awakening. And we start to say no. That's what's happening right now. Some kids don't do that, though. Some kids don't have it so rough that they say no. And some kids have it kind of rough that they're afraid. So when the hero stands up to the bully and says, no, you will not take the body, as in the movie Stand By Me, off the Stephen King book, The Body. Those boys were how old? Exactly. You will not take the body. We found it. It's ours. We're here first. And they stand up to their brothers, to the boys in the town that have been picking on them. The big bullies. The vampires, like in The Lost Boys. How old were they? How old was every Corey movie of the Coreys, with the Cores and the Coreys, the Feldmans and the Hames, right? How old? Why do they always show them? How old were Goonies? How old was Elliot and E.T.? Ask yourself, does anyone ever ask themselves this question? I'm sorry, I feel like I'm shouting at my friends. But know that I'm not. I'm not you. It just upsets me that people don't get it. They'd rather believe in aliens instead of the concept of alienation. So who's the hero really? Is it the bomber or the bombed? That's what we're looking at here. Who's the true hero? Because when we all come together and we say no to an injustice, we're the hero. But to someone else, we're the bad guy. That's why WikiHow How to Control People says things like, make them see you as a hero. Make them feel like they're part of something. Make them feel like there's community so that they'll side with you. WikiHow How to Control People. Oh, let's do it. I'm available to chat with. I'm trying to share my work to try to help other people. And I hope that it does. Hello, Boy Lee. We'll see an amen. We are complex vibrational emanations. I never went to preschool or kindergarten. Good for you, because you stayed playing. AI may be a digital parasitical algorithm that feeds from our thoughts, form vibrations. I would absolutely go along with that idea and debate that in round tables, because I do think we're not helping ourselves. You made a comment. This comment right here, Phil, makes me think of the Incredibles, where remember the little boy, who's the hero? And the little boy is so excited. It's my hero, Mr. Incredible. I'm your biggest fan, he says. Stay away, buddy. Leave this to the real heroes, he says. And he crushes Buddy's little heart. He's crushed. I remember this in the movie 300, where the Hunchback of Notre Dame comes and says, I'm a Spartan. I can prove to you that I can do what you do. And he holds his sword and he holds his spear and he holds his shield. And then he says, yeah, but you can't stay with us. You create holes because your body doesn't move and do the same thing. So yes, individually out on a field, you might be a great warrior and be able to defend yourself. But as a collective, you don't help us. And he couldn't take that as an answer. Neither could Buddy. And so they go off. And they become the what? The nemesis. The Antichrist. You're not good enough, they say. Fly away, Buddy. And Buddy comes back like Musk. I think Buddy is Musk. I think The Incredibles is a cartoon homage to the writer of Pixel's best buddy he met in college, Elon Musk, the dropout, whatever. Maybe they hung out. Who knows? But I clearly see that because he talked about that being a pathetic loser in school. And I think he wants to get Revenge of the Nerds back. I did too. Big skipper. Biological imprinting. I ran away at 4. Yes. She goes, Rebecca had it early on. I was like, no. And 4 is an I am moment, Rebecca. I mean, it may not be the 6, but 4 is a completion. 4 is an even number. 4 is a building year, a mastering year, I mean. Odd numbers are building, even numbers are mastering. So as a child grows, every odd year that he's alive, that's a building year. That's a year of understanding the world around them. And then the following year and the even numbered year is the year that they practice all of that and they master it. So at age 3, they're learning about lying and being sneaky and manipulative. And then at age 4, they start practicing it. And that's a make or break. 4 is a dangerous age. And we needed to get our kids at age 4. That's why they needed to get them before 4. Can't have free thinkers. Jesus was trying to shine light on how to avoid the emptiness of inner darkness. I am a dragon in the Chinese calendar, whatever that means. That's interesting. Would you say then, Phil, that that's maybe like part of your, spirit animal totem? We've got about, 19 more minutes. I'll end around 2 hours. Inner alienation from the true pathway of the soul. Wow, that's a profound fucking thing to say. By the way, you can join me again this evening. I'm plugging myself. I'm going to be interviewing my friend. I have met her. She's a friend. Peachy Ryder. She is part of the A1 or auditing community, if you know what that is. And she's graciously accepted to be my first guinea pig of interviewing cop watchers or government watchers. She was at the the protests in Atlanta, and she's an all-around really beautiful woman. She's going to come and talk with us this evening, and we can ask her questions about why she got interested in doing what she does. I've watched her for years. That's how I met her. And, she's not one that harasses people. So, I'm a fan. And we might not always see eye to eye on some of the auditing community ideas, as I don't like them going around videotaping, private citizens. Hence, like myself, if I'm out, at the DMV. But, she told me, she said, if you were to come up to me being me, and said, I really would be uncomfortable with being on camera. I've got my own, stalker issues or whatever. Could you please not pan around me? She said, I would definitely do that. So, and I believe her. I believe if somebody did ask her in a polite way and wasn't an asshole, like, don't record me, she would. So she's going to be here tonight. She may have to cancel. But as far as I know, we're still on. She's got some health issues going on and a doctor visit and some tests today. And she was worried that because something has happened now, she texted me this morning, she might be a little late. So just know that, but hopefully. Goonies in gematria equals 742 equals 7 times 4 square 2 equals 665.9. Reoccurring. Jesus Christ has risen. Just saying. I didn't know that about Goonies. That's beautiful, Boily. Yes. Bill likes it too. Big props. Or something you know it. By the way, 34 minus the unity, oneness. I think we're on the same page. Frequency. 33. Oh, you know what I find interesting, Boily, is all of the temperature, you know, things freeze, things melt, that 33. I always find that to be an interesting little dot. And, you know, when I go, well, there's a 33. You've taken, they have taken our heroic inner sense of protecting the innocent and are transhumanizing this vibration towards their dark ways. Doing something all fucked up is not a casual trying to, is not a casual universe, right? You mentioned dragons earlier. Being a Sagittarian, I find an affinity with horses. How interesting is that? I was just watching something the other day that was talking about the Chinese zodiac and the horse and its representation of power and movement. And that was going along with what I was researching about how to make film scenes, you know, the movement using the panning and the camera and the environment around to create the illusion. And I think I remember, you know, we had some of the first film strip films was a horse running, was it not? Not necessarily a person, but in fact, a horse that was on single frame images, and they would run it together in that cartoon horse running. Am I right there? I love it. No, I love when we play around with words. Hello. Oh, so you couldn't type. You've been listening. 33 vertebra. Yeah, I did my 33 poem. My poem about the 33. Should I read it? I should, shouldn't I? Let me take this intermission to read my poem 33. I'm going to do it. Do you guys mind? No, you don't. Do I care? Not really. Because I do really like this poem. And you know, I wrote it. I'm not saying it's, you know, worthy of an Oscar or anything. But I put some time into figuring things out. And so I'd like to share it. Where is it? Oh my God, I'm about to pass out because I'm having to lean over. It's making me dizzy. Okay, hang on. I'll find it, don't worry. I thought I had it marked. But I do know. How is everybody doing today? Oh, look, I pulled it right up. Oh, that's beautiful. And I had no idea. Okay, let me come back over here. Whoa. Whoa. Do your thing. Oh, do your thing. Okay. I could play it, I think. I'm going to read it. Maybe I'll read it good. Maybe I won't. This is the 33 by Joni Rotten. Can you see it okay? Make it bigger. Here we go. Okay, here we go. All right, 33 by Joni Rotten. You can lie to me and say I'm wrong, but remember, There's an Abercrombie ad with a child in a thong. Oh, let me get the right phrasing down. Do you see this? Because I have to do rhythm. This is like rap songs and stuff. You could lie to me and say I'm wrong. But remember, there's an Abercrombie ad with a child in a thong. The game of life is like ping pong. Not the pizza place that had 2 guys and a girl. Or the one with chrome toppings that resemble a swirl. But the kind that's more like a pendulum swing with a bobble-headed Cyrus and a Tiffany ring. The world has gone crazy or mad or insane. I just paid $33 to ride a Thomas the Tank Engine train. The way things are going shouldn't be too hard to see. If you need some reading glasses, they're $3.33. That's a degree if you're a Mason. That's degrees if you're a Mason. 20 more movies if you're Jason. Your last birthday if you're Jesus. Metro 2033 is the year they plan to freeze us. Everything breaks the rule of 3. Triad of forces, the law of 3. Leaves of 3, leave them be. The Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit in me. There are 33 outer columns that are 33 feet high, sitting in Washington, D.C., where all the cars all drive by. There are 33 beads and a 33-day pope. And the 33 Club in Disney with its own float of hope. LPs are 33. Arsenic is too. You have 33 vertebrae inside you. And the Virgin Mary never grew old till she turned 33. Well, at least that's the story some Bible scholar told me. A man is 33, but a man is not. And if that man misbehaves, a divine comedy has 33 cantos of hot. 2 towers for 33 years stood until King Kong knocked him over with his corporate morning wood. It takes only 1 degree less for water to freeze. Oh, so many, many, many 33s. At 33 months, our baby's teeth are in. This is the age that jokes begin. Our fear of the dark is born right here, and unicorns, fairies, and dragons appear. We count the numbers, 1, 2, 3. We avoid mommy's cuddles. Mommy, leave me be. Our opinions get stronger. Our independence is exerted. We get bossy with demands, and who's in charge gets inverted. Once upon a time, a queen mother died, and the time on the clock read 3:15. Don't forget Caesar, Shakespeare cried, for he was stabbed 33 times before he died. With all the 3s surrounding us from riding our bikes to the city bus, it's hard to grasp how one can't see just how many times we use the number 33. Da, 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 da. Okay, back to myself. Slow down, poetry. Should I say it slower? I'm sorry. I'll practice again. I get excited. Okay, if anyone wants to talk, you can. Otherwise, I'm going to end this here in about 8 minutes, maybe. I've got a few more notes. So who's the hero we were talking about? Who's the hero really? So is the hero the one that bombed, the bomber, or the bombed? Because let's just take, I don't know, the Oklahoma City bombing as an example. To some, Timothy McVeigh was a hero. He was only acting out an injustice he saw when he saw the Waco, Texas extermination of people, whatever that was, right? Waco, Texas? This Oklahoma City bombing is a direct side effect. It is a direct result of the Waco, Texas incident. So to some, he's seen as a hero. And to others, he's seen as a bad guy. So that means to tell me there really is no hero or a bad guy. It's all about which side of the football field I'm sitting on and what color my flag is. Okay. Now I want to talk about toga parties, blackface, and dressing up as Hitler to be photographed, and what that is. Okay, so you've heard me say that in fraternities and in Freemasons and Masonic temples and Illuminati, they must do what they refer to as humiliation rituals. That's what the blue dress was. That's what Clinton did, Hillary did. They were both party to and participants in a humiliation ritual that would boost them up into the next place. Remember, they had just come back from Haiti, where they fell in love, voodoo style. So why do we do these things? The blue dress is a perfect example. When you see the painting of Clinton in the blue dress in Epstein Island, that's where I noticed. So I will say that it took me that long to figure out. I just never really thought about it. That Monica Lewinsky was a humiliation ritual. Now, whether or not she was in on it, maybe she didn't know at first. Maybe she was just, innocently in a reality TV show. She signed up for this experiment, but she had no idea what was going to happen to her. It didn't matter. She still won in the end, and she signed the release agreement. And the blue dress becomes infamous. And they're always in a blue dress, aren't they? The color of royal. So that was a humiliation ritual. Now, along with that, fraternities. So fraternities do this by making you run around the quad in your underwear in the snow on rush week. So basically, Clinton was being rushed. The Clintons were participating in rush week. That was that time period of their life was a rushing ceremony. Would everybody agree? So let's look at the Hitler and the blackface that they constantly have from their college years, it seems. Note to self, college years. Because, see, these skull and bones and fraternities and for sororities. There you go. Becca's on it. They also have toga parties. They have celebrations where people dress up in costumes. Have you ever seen the movie Legally Blonde? Do you remember? That's one of my favorite scenes of that movie. Is where she's told, "Come, they trick her into thinking it's a costume party." And so she shows up the only one in her silly little Playboy bunny costume, and she sticks out like a sore thumb and looks ridiculous. And she keeps it together. She maintains her class. And when they say, "Oh, that's an interesting costume," and she looks straight at her, and best line ever in a film, one of them. She looks at her and she said, "Well," I can't remember let me find it. I haven't seen that movie in a long time. The something about, let me find it. Who knows it? I'm going to find it. Hold on. Give me a second. I'm going to find it. It's going to be great. Okay. Oh, what happened? Oh, I know. WikiHow, how to control people. That's what happened. Okay, I'm going to go over here. I was wondering where my tab went for the YouTube. Okay. Bunny costume scene. Here it is. Oh my God. I freaking love this scene. So, okay. In case somebody hasn't seen this movie before, you should. Breathe. Motherfucker, breathe. Am I going too fast, Spoily? 322 Blue Lodge is the initiation level. Oh, that's wonderful. So, see, you know stuff that not even I know. I've just kind of put these things, going back to what I do know. And then I go, I'll see how it works. The Blue Lodge. Okay, it's across the road from you. Yes. Toga. I think that the Hitler nose is a toga. Here we go. This scene right here. You'll love it. Oh my God.
Hey.
Thanks for inviting me, girls. This party is super fun. Nice outfit.
Oh, I like your outfit too, except when I dress up as a frigid bitch, I try not to look so constipated.
That was it. When I dress up like a frigid bitch, I try not to look so constipated. Brilliant. I love that scene. I love that movie. Are you surprised by that? It's in my front yard. These fraternities and secret organizations are constructs that shape shift over generation, yet keep their demonic power structures of control. Yes, agreed. I like that you used that shape shift in there. That shape shifting. I think so, but only on the level like you're trying to entertain when you can just relax. Nice one. Doesn't stop the good work. Don't stop. Yeah. I have a photo of me in that black version of that outfit. Why am I not surprised, Buffa? Why does this not surprise me in the least that you would have had one of those outfits in black? I don't even think you had to tell us that. I think we probably all would have guessed. There's this old game my girlfriends and I got one time. You can only play it a couple times and then it loses it. But it was a card game, and you got your friends together, and the card would have you would lay down a card and it would say who in the room, is the most likely to have on leopard print panties right now, or some kind of leopard print underwear. And so we would all pick the person who we thought, we all had a color. So we would pick that color of who we thought in the room actually had leopard print panties on. And then you'd wait to see if you were right. So the questions were stuff like that. Who here in the room, has the cutest nose, right? Whose nose would you want to trade place with? I think is what it said. Whose nose would you want to have instead of yours? These kinds of questions. That was an interesting game, because when you're in a room of people like that, some of them hurt people's feelings. Nobody wants your nose, or everybody thinks you're the one that's wearing the slutty panties. That wasn't me. But my friend who we all picked, sure enough, leopard print bra. Of course she had on. We know that. We know who most likely would. And she laughs and she goes, well, I do happen to have on. Da, 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 and we're all laughing our asses off. I knew it. We knew it. Right? That's Buffa. If the game said who here was most likely dressed up as a Playboy bunny in college, we would all pick Buffa's card. Black is the raw passion, bro. Oh, Phil's flirting with you, Buffa. Oh my. Okay. Fun times. So that was my thought there with the Hitler mustache and the blackface. These are actually parts of these are pictures from their toga parties, what they have. And so they do that with intent. The intent is that the picture's going to get leaked so that you can be in the hot seat for a moment early on in your political career. And if you make it through that, if you survive, if you hold face, the world will forgive you. You can tell them things like, I'm only human. That's what Nancy Pelosi did when she got caught getting her hair did during the lockdown. Oops, everybody, I'm only human. Please forgive me of my transgressions, for I know not what I do. I'm a sinner, just like you. Bullshit. Bullshit. Okay. My last note. This isn't too... So I was thinking about the progression of things because I like patterns. First I had the radio. Well, first I had, people telling me. Word of mouth. Storytelling. Storytelling came first. We told stories of what was going on in other places so that we did, especially if you escaped it, eyes and ears were everywhere. You couldn't get too far. So maybe you're in London all the way back then and you know some secret from another town over. You don't just come right out and say, hey, over there, they've got some things going on. No. You make up a cute little story like Robin Hood. The Pied Piper.
You make up stories. You tell the stories to what is happening. These are the ones that spread the news. Those who could have ears to hear, hear, eyes to see, see. Come listen. Come listen to Jesus tell the story of the 2 loaves and 5 fishes. So this was our original news. Came through storytelling. I've been diving into that storytelling. I've got a few videos I'll put into my folder for the month as soon as I'm out of grounding, in case you want to follow some tabs yourself. Then I got radio, because after my news comes from a story, and then I've got it written in papers. People are now writing it down, because after we babble, we then begin to write, reading, writing, and then comes arithmetic. We had the press. We could now write it. We had the pen, the parchment, the paper. We could write it. The First Amendment, freedom of the press. Freedom not of the news, not of news, not the press like that. Not somebody who's wearing a hat that says press. That's not what the freedom of the press means. It means the ability to share my information, to copy it. That's what's the printing press. That's what the right is talking about. The ability to print and share my ideas, to not be censored in that way. So first I have stories, and then I get news. So now the newspaper is telling me stories. I have radio comes in. The radio starts to tell me stories. Then the TV comes in and starts to show me stories. And I watch those stories. And then somewhere, talk shows showed up. And I think talk shows mark a placement in time. I should go back and look and see exactly what age I think we were when the talk shows come up. So I want to say that right around that time, in my theory, I think we're about 9 years old. That was the most of us, or the beginnings of us coming into our tweens. So in the 80s, I believe we were in that 8 and 9 years old, being represented by the decade. That's why it's 2023. It's actually still just the 2 being a 12 and the 3 being a stage. 2 being the 12. Okay. That's why 2030 puts us to 13 years old. Okay. No, not 2030. Maybe. I don't know. I'm still working on that. All right. So I got the radio. Okay. So then the talk show shows up. It's very important, this talk show, because the talk show made everyone a celebrity, right? So everyone now can come in and tell their story. That's fair. And I am totally willing to not debate that, but come to an agreement. And that's why I share it, because I don't actually know. I just know we're somewhere in our tweens. That I can tell you. As far as how certain I can narrow down the timeline, well, that only takes somebody who has some more computer technology and can take my little pie graphs and put them together for me, because I don't know how to do that. But I do believe I can predict the future if I could get a timeline scale with a clock, which I've put in the work and have the rough copies of. So it's just a matter of somebody that wants to sit down with me and see if they can put it in a form, and we can play with it and tweak it and get it in and it's in a good working order. So that's part of my prediction that I can do with what I've figured out here, this pattern we found. So the talk show started bringing people in. Originally, remember, the talk shows centered around, more like in the news type stories. It wasn't until we ended up with the talk show Kool-Aid or phase that we went through. Jerry Springer, where I believe in the beginning it started out, a lot of it was scripted. It was created. They went out and looked for certain people and looked for certain stories that would work on a daytime show. They also were contending with, say, soap operas. So keeping these stories full of drama and passion would have also, caused the soap operas to lose some of their audience, and or, as the case was in our town, the the talk shows came on right after the, 2 or 3 block hours of the soap operas. And then that took the average person now and put them in a soap opera. They could become part of the show. And I think Jerry Springer being mostly, even say Judge Judy and those judging shows also being reality TV. Before MTV jumped on, Phil Donahue and had some ideas. And this gave everyone, that was the beginning of the reality TV, because it let the algorithm and the computers and the ones upstairs know that that they could they could get people to want to make a fool of themselves just for a 15-minute of fame. And that's where we had that. So, for my I think talk shows should be marked down as a significant placement in history as far as how we got here. It should be marked as a trend that was detrimental to us. So if we can go back in time and change some things, maybe that'd be one that we could get rid of. Anyway, I think that's all my notes. Oh, wait. Oh, yeah, my midlife crisis. Okay, I turned my note thing over. Okay. Schools create victims. Who said that earlier? I said that earlier. Schools create victims. Yes, I am rebellious, Rebecca. And it's a nickname, Rebellious Rebecca. I love that name. I right. I saw that one. Yet we lose our innocence, but still can shine through the light of inner sense. Oh, that's good. I like that. Innocence, inner sense. I'm so gonna steal that if I can remember it. What's the difference between, is that drowning and diving? Divining. What's the difference between, what did you say? Same. There is no difference. Is that what you're saying? I'm wondering about the definition of divine. Ooh, that's a good question. What would the definition of divine be? Before we look it up, does anybody have, like, if you were to think, what would divine mean? This is going into an IQ test where they ask you what a word means based off of the sentence. And can you guess what it means? What some of its meanings would be? Divine. Let's look it up. Schools create automations. Yeah, I put schools create victims, future victims, because they're all going to go, oh no, school fucked me up, I'm a victim. So we have an I am moment at 6. We have an I am moment in our adolescence, and young adult stage comes from your double digits. So you begin adolescence and puberty at 9, 8, and 9, and you move up. So when you hit double digits in the tween, the 10, 11, 12, there's no teens at the end of those numbers. They're tweens. You learned something really interesting about why those 3 numbers in math don't have a teen at the end. Why it's not like 10 teen and 11 teen or whatever we would say. Because there's 2. Wait, who said they knew math? Phil, well, you said you liked numbers. So you probably can explain this better than I can. But there's basically two. This is me throwing it out in the easiest form is how my brain can comprehend it. 2 different maths that play out. Maths that play out on a 10 number sequence and maths that go to a 12 number sequence. Am I correct? And that's why. Follow the water. Diviners are downers. Dowsers. I don't know what a dowser is. Maths is 212 is better. So yeah, so that explained why we had the numbers, those 3 numbers. I found that freaking fascinating as fuck. It's like, what? How did I not know that? That's brilliant. That's interesting as hell. Okay. So our adolescent lasts until, guess what age? Our adolescence and young adult goes all the way through. Anybody know what age you end your young adult? Does anyone know? Bueller. I'll give you a guess. Just guess. Just think. What age are you officially out of young adult and moving into your midlife? Anybody know? Anyone? Okay. Dowsing is so key. Oh, dowsing. Okay, I'm counting that as one of my blonde moments of the day. I'm allowed a baker's dozen. And that counts as one. I see what you're saying now. Dowsing. Duh. I'm an idiot. I'm so sorry. All right. No, Buffett, it's not, but you're very close. In fact, 24 marks the year that the average human starts having its babies. So at 24 years old, the average human these days is having babies. At 24, that's been the case for a moment now. Because even in our grandparents' days, yes, they might have had they might have had kids in their teens, but not everyone. 24 in their right after college, people start having babies. And that's usually the time you're moving, from your 18 to 23, you're moving, you're marrying, you're meeting people. So it makes sense that around age 24, we'd all start having our babies, our first babies. So 25 is not young adult. Sweet 16 is not. No, we're talking like adolescence and your young adult years. I'll just give you the answer. It's 33. Okay. It's 32. Who said that? Yes. Oily. That is, in fact, when you leave and cross over from your young adult at 33, you have another I am moment. Remember when you were 33, when you were in your beginning 30s, look at the millennials today. They're all in this age. Listen to how they talk. They describe themselves as getting old. They're 35. You're 35. You're not old. But we all do it around that age. Every human starts to see the world differently again. And they start to say, oh my God, I'm getting old. I'm hitting my midlife. This is when we start getting divorced. This is when our kids are growing into teenagers. They're hitting their tween years. Because remember, we had them at 24. We're 34 now. They're hitting their adolescence. This is when, menopause, perimenopause, premenopause begins to happen right as the daughter is going through puberty. These things are linked. There's an intentional purpose to this cycle. It marks the beginning of your midlife crisis. And you usually start getting into that when you're about 35. That's when you decide that you worked long enough. Fuck it. I've been working the last 15 years of my fucking life. Now I'm buying myself a Challenger. And I'm hitting the road running in my midlife crisis. That's, so there's that. And we sit in our middle age until we reach about our late 40s as we're moving into our elderhood. So that 20 years holds, we go from 33 to 53, and we have another massive transition in our lives, and the world starts to look a little different. And as elders, nursing homes, old folks' homes, senior communities have the highest STD rate of any other cohort there is. Why is that? Why would a bunch of old people have lots of STDs? Did you even know that? It's true. Go look it up. Why? It's because they stopped giving a fuck. They just want to have a good time. The free love comes back. Race doesn't matter. Sex doesn't matter. Religion doesn't matter. Location doesn't matter. None of those things that would normally keep us apart don't matter when we're old anymore. And so we're able to make friends with people that in our young adult we probably would have never been friends with. This is why a lot of veterans end up friends with people that were from Korea. When they're old, they get together. They realize that was stupid. I tried to shoot you once. You're just like me. We have to get to that point of wise wisdom elder. That's why the elders don't fight in battles. They're not going to. They see how useless they are. Okay. I've blabbered for 2 hours and 20 minutes. But I finished everything on my page here. So not too bad. Okay. Of course. I'm sure mine was 27. It probably was. Your midlife crisis, Pepe. If you run fast, you crisis fast. Hands of a horse, feet and inches represents 12 in increment ways of measuring. Right? Do you know a dollar bill is 6 inches long? If you ever need a quick measuring, how many dollar bills is it? Oh my God, nah. Yep. Hands and elbows to wrists. Isn't that interesting? And at age 4, when I started calling mom by her first name. That's interesting you say that because preschool is that time when the children stop using the word mommy and mom shows up for the first time. Mom! Who's mom? Where is she? My name is Mommy. I don't know who this mom is, but it's not me. It's that separation. The child begins to express separation from its parent. It begins to alienate itself from its father time and mother earth. It wants to be anew. It wants to have new adventures and fly into the wild blue yonder. To boldly go where no man has gone before. Adolescence, leaving the nest, flying away. That's what we're experiencing. That's the rapture. We're going to fly away. Now, I don't know if there's going to be some rapture with some kind of frequency from the sun or the planet or something that might make us all just turn into little flops of skin on the ground. I don't know. That would be rad. I'm not holding my breath for that. You know, and here's the thing. Here's another pet peeve of mine. Everyone keeps saying, well, you got to do this. You got to eat this. You got to detoxify that. You got to do this. You got to live in the woods. You got to put your feet on the ground. You got to do yoga. You got to say these words. You got to drink this stuff. You got to light these candles. You got to burn this incense. They have a million books and ideas of how I can get my frequency to vibrate with the right frequency so that when the Big Bang happens, I zap out of here. And I say bullshit to all of it. My upper being says I don't have to do fucking shit. She's coming for me and not to worry. It won't matter if I didn't say enough of this spell or I didn't have enough of that candles or I drank an extra Starbucks or I smoked cigarettes or I fucked too many times. That's never going to matter. That's what she says. And if she's wrong, well, then she's only screwing herself, right? Because she wants out of this shithole as much as I do. So I have to believe her. She says something that other people don't. They keep telling me to worship their people, places, and things. And my upper being says, don't do that. So I'll close with that. Don't worship nouns. Don't give your power away. Don't let someone else decide for you whether or not you're capable of being raptured. That's absolutely absurd. So if you believe you're going to be raptured, then believe it. And the fact that these people are trying to tell me otherwise makes me know they have no clue how to even become raptured. I don't know what it is, but it ain't that. And honestly, we have raptures every day. We have wildfires and they kill some people, raptured. If we have a tornado and a bunch of people get sucked in it, rapture. How about a tsunami? Rapture. Volcano? Rapture. It's an enlightenment. A rapture is an elated feeling
The very feeling you feel when you have a near-death experience and you go to the void and it feels all warm and fuzzy and you just want to stay there forever. And people go, this is the love zone. It is the love zone. Raptured. Rapture, by definition, means an exhalation, an expression of true happiness. I've been raptured. That's why we use terms like, I've been raptured by your beauty. When you find the love of your life and you know this woman, she just, every bit about her is so beautiful. You're smitten. You can't think straight. You can't breathe. You can't eat. You can't sleep. All you want to do is touch her, talk to her, be near her. You have been raptured by her presence, caught up in. You feel like you're lighter than air. Every time she's around you, you want to dance and jump up and do Fred Astaire moves off of staircases. You know what I mean? Anyway, okay, join me later. We were looking at divine, diviner, divinest, of, from, or like God, or a God, devoted to God, sacred, excellent, delightful. Oh, that's divine. Oh, that's excellent. Oh, that's delightful. I love it. How about that? Minus the God. All right, see y'all later. We'll bounce out and I'll throw your goodbyes. Links to your channels. If you have your own channel, put your links in. Go do that now, class. Class is about to be dismissed. But before we go, before the bell rings, before the skater skates, and we have our public service announcement, throw your links in, share other channels, share out this channel, share out my other channel, share each other. I can't do that right now because I'm grounded. I'm not allowed to even comment on anyone's videos. So if you're not saying me, it's not that I ain't been watching your shit. Just can't leave a comment every time. Sometimes it's let me and sometimes it hasn't. But just know that I'll be back to sharing people's stuff. I'd like to encourage people to stop sharing. Here's another pet peeve. While you're getting your links in, go get your links, go get your channel links, come back and meet us tonight for Dan. Let me pull that up. Oh, come on. It always does that. Funny. It will never give me. Oh, now it's not doing it. I must need a capital. In order to find the channel, it'll give me other people's channels that are nothing like it. It won't give me this one. Interesting. Huh. Okay. I'm right here. So let's go this way. All right. So later, I'm going to be talking with, where is she? Rotten Interviews, Peachy Writer. So I'm going to pull this off. This is coming up this evening if you want to come back and join us. I would really like to encourage people, if you have the ability to cut and paste and do little fun, cute clips where people say funny things or embarrass themselves or out someone for, basically say something that sounds pedo and we're clipping that so we can show everybody what a pervy person this person is. Can I encourage all of you to also take channels of people that say really interesting things like myself? If you don't like myself, go clip Buffa B. If you don't like Buffa B, go clip someone else. When you hear someone saying something very profound or something that you think is really interesting and you go, wow, I really like that thought, take a moment to clip it and share that instead of all of this drama. There are a million channels who dedicate their lives to sharing nothing but bullshit, arguments, fights, finger pointing, sexuality, misconduct, this, and they even come in my room, some of them, but not any of them ever put up anything from anybody other than that. Why?
Why do you want to continue to just clip people saying stupid things instead of people saying interesting things or new things or provocative things or whatever? So if you have the ability to do that, please do. Please do. And now we'll bounce out. I'll see you guys tonight. Bye. Excellent. Throw links. Here we go.
This public service announcement is brought to you by Rotten Studios. Remember, no contact is the road to freedom.